In the 1400s, the Spaniards and the Portuguese were at war with each other, and they were two feuding Catholic nations under the Catholic faith. So Pope Nicholas V came up with a solution to stop the two warring nations from fighting each other. So he signed the Papal Bull, Dum Diversas, June 18th of 1452. It was a decree that he had signed that he would give the New World of to the Spaniards. He gave the Spaniards Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbeans. And he gave North Africa and West Africa to the Portuguese. He came up with that solution that he said, why would you two fight each other and we're both brothers in the Catholic faith? Why not fight our enemies, those who are inferior to Christianity? So he set a decree for Portugal to completely destroy and enslave all Moors, and he called the Moors Sadduceans. The Moors are Africans in North Africa under the Islamic faith. And he also declared to enslave also all pagans when he was referring to Africa, meaning as Africans who are non-Muslim is also to be enslaved. They said that we were inferior, that we were docile to Christianity. But when he drew a line in the map of the ownership that he gave to Portugal and Spain, he accidentally gave Brazil to Portugal. Brazil got its name from the Portuguese discovered a tree that they had in their country of Portugal that was in Brazil. And that tree was called the Brazilian wood tree. So it was called Brazilian wood. So they named that country Brazil. Now, you have Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, his actual name is Christopher Columbus. Christo is the name Christ in the Greek language. So Christopher Columbus, Christopher Columbus, name meant Christ. Christopher Columbus, they said he discovered America. In school, they tell you that the discovering of America was a good thing through Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was a man who was filled with greed. He had a deep desire for gold. Christopher Columbus enslaved the Native Americans. He enslaved the Native Americans and had them dig and till their own gold mines and fill up his shipments of his boats to carry it back to his country. He was a hard slave driver. Christopher Columbus would have the Native Americans' hand chopped off if they didn't give their daily quota of how much gold they were supposed to dig for him for free out of their own gold mines. He was a hard slave driver. So a priest by the name of Casas, he talked to Christopher Columbus. He asked Christopher Columbus about the cruelty that was happening to the Native Americans. The Native Americans were foreign to the Europeans' diseases, where they kept getting sick, and they was not immune to malaria or smallpox. He felt sad of the harsh treatment that Christopher Columbus had laid upon the Native Americans through slavery. So that priest went to the church and asked the church for permission to transport African slaves to the Caribbeans, Central America, and Mexico to help the Native Americans in their labor. So shipments started to come in and arrive through the request of the priest. But when that shipments arrived in, they seen that the slave trade through Christopher Columbus did not improve or get any better. Because in Christopher Columbus' slave trade, the Native Americans, if they didn't come up with their daily quota of gold, he would chop off their hand. That same treatment would happen to those who were brought over from Africa, that it never improved. So Delas Casas, he seen that, and he could not call off the slave ships that were coming in from Africa. So Delas Casas, the priest, he left the country and fled the scene because he could not stop what he had started.